A close ally of Russian President Vladimir Putin says it's time to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. That's from the leader of the Chechen Republic, who put out an angry statement today slamming Russian generals after reports that Russian troops are retreating from parts of Ukraine. That leader urging Putin to take drastic measures, including the use of so-called low-yield nuclear weapons. CNN's Fareed Zakaria talked about this new elevated nuclear threat with the U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin.
Now, part of the annexation, Russia's annexation, is the statement by President Putin that he has now made twice, that these territories are now Russian, and that he will defend these Russian territories with every means possible. And Russian media has repeatedly interpreted that to mean, very specifically, nuclear weapons, as has Dmitry Medvedev. So this seems to raise the stakes enormously. What do you make of the fact that Vladimir Putin is essentially saying at this point that if he feels there is an attack from NATO, I suppose, on Russian territory, which now includes all of the Donbass, he reserves the right to use nuclear weapons in response?
Again, it's an illegal claim. It's an irresponsible statement. These are, this nuclear saber rattling is not the kind of thing that we would expect to hear from leaders of large countries with capability. And so, what we can expect to see, we can expect that the Ukrainians will continue to move forward and attempt to take back all of the territory within their sovereign borders here. And so I don't think that's going to stop, and we will continue to support them in their efforts.
And you can see more of that interview on Fareed Zakaria GPS tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. But right now we want to bring in retired U.S. Army Brigadier General Peter Zwack. He's also the author of Swimming the Volga, a U.S. Army officer's experiences in pre-Putin Russia. General Zwack, so great to see you. Thanks so much for being here. You just heard the Defense Secretary there. He and many other U.S. officials still think it's unlikely Putin will resort to nuclear weapons. I can't even believe we're talking about this, but what does it mean that one of his key allies is now urging him to do it? Is he just playing to a domestic political base, much like we might see from time to time here in this country? What are your thoughts?
Jim, I think it's all of it. I think that there is intimidation, trying to intimidate the U.S., trying to intimidate the allies, trying to intimidate the Ukrainians. But it can't play. The fact that Ramzan Kadyrov of Chechnya made that statement, his Putin strongman, who's been back and forth, is informative. But they are off. They are absolutely. Their people have been in Ukraine and performed ugly. And then also Dmitry Medvedev, who used to be the president and once was behind, in part, the Russian reset, is gone completely the other way. I believe it's rhetoric, but as the defense secretary said, and the administration, this is deadly serious stuff. It's rhetoric, and this type of should go back channel. I know it is. We need to stay implacable, focused. We don't recognize the illegal annexation of these 4 republics, and we are going to provinces, and we are going to still and continue to support the Ukrainians in their fight for survival.
And for our viewers at home who may not understand the terminology, what is a low-yield nuclear weapon?
A low yield, that can be as low as 1 kiloton, which is 1,000 pounds of TNT. And it could be as low as that. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were somewhere between 10 and 15 kilotons. So I can't give you an exact size of what it is, but whatever it is lethal, whether it is multiple blocks, a town, a small city, but it's there, and it is very dangerous.
And General, we've been talking about Russians retreating from the towns in the Donetsk region. Is this exactly the type of development that Putin wants in order to try to turn the tables, try to claim that Ukraine is attacking Russian territory? What do you think about that?
I think that the press, the push that the Ukrainians are making are totally justified into their lands of Donetsk, of Luhansk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson. And so their people evacuating, they're evacuating for the fight, but they didn't all vote 85, 90% for the referendum. That is indeed a sham. I think we should pay attention to the overestimated 200,000 able-bodied, mostly males, who have left Russia through Finland and through Georgia and other means. That's a fact. And while people worry, and we do, that will prolong the war with the 300,000 have been that are being called up, it may also accelerate trouble for the Putin regime internally, because what they have done is socialized and now energized the population. That this is an ugly war, and people leaving are a real indicator. They're voting with their feet.
And these developments, this annexation, this sham annexation from Vladimir Putin, it's stepping up calls from Ukrainian officials to join NATO. They want to join NATO. Your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that my heart, Jim, is yes. In many ways, Ukrainians have earned it militarily, but my mind says not now. Do everything that we can do to continue to support and bet more and even better weapons, and to help Ukrainians take their land back. NATO will play into the Russian existential narrative at home, and also it may create divisions, Jim, in the alliance, because there's no guarantee all 30 nations will vote for Ukraine or in NATO. So I think that the door is open, but we support Ukrainians to push on every front and then isolate the Russians absolutely, ferociously, diplomatically, economically, and all the other tools that we have. But NATO in the future, they're worthy, but now is not the time.
And President Biden has called the leaks in the Nord Stream pipelines a deliberate act of sabotage. He stopped short of directly accusing the Kremlin of causing the leak. It's awfully suspicious. What are your thoughts? What do you think about that?
Jim, I don't know, but everything that I'm reading and sensing is that very likely Russian, whether Navy or other maritime or some, went in. And it's one thing if you've slashed a hole or exploded in one, but when you start saying 3 and 4, and the Nordic nations have reported that Russian fleet is in the area, it's the closest thing to a smoking gun. Without the direct proof.
Yeah.
But I think for now, I think we have to look at that way. It's disruptive, but it also shows just the malign aspect of this regime that will do anything, if you will, to get an edge and try to dissent. And all it does is pulls us together. It also has created an ecological mess. Yeah. I believe it was the Russians.
Fascinating. Yes, it is bringing the alliance closer together, doing the exact opposite of what Vladimir Putin has been trying to do throughout all of this. But General Peter Zwack, thanks again, as always. We appreciate it, and good talking to you.
Thank you, Jim.